Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. Uncle Lou, thank you for saying Oregon goes 12-0 this upcoming year. I appreciate that. And to be honest, it's hard to disagree with you. And I do also agree with you that Wisconsin would be that team that beats Oregon just because it's real late in the year, injuries pile up. And, the team that's really good, like us, Oregon, for example, will be the team that goes on the road and has a hard time against what I think will be a really good football team in Wisconsin. And injuries usually hurt that team more when there's more injuries on the great team than there are on the really good team, especially when that really good team is at home late in the year with nothing to lose. So yeah, I do agree with you that would be the game that we'd lose. I also agree with you that we'll beat Ohio State. But the only thing I do disagree with you on is how you said Ohio State has really turned the corner. Or I can't say word for word what you said, but basically saying that Ohio State's not a soft team. I still think they're a soft team, and I'll tell you why. Think about it. They have struggled against good teams that run the football. They had a fluke road win at Notre Dame when Notre Dame was missing one of their defensive linemen. They also got stopped a lot on fourth down in that game. And I also remember Notre Dame running the football right up the gut against that great defense. They managed to pull away with a struggle win, a home game over an offenseless Penn State, whose Penn State's defense, by the way, pushed them around a lot in that game. And Michigan, you already know how I feel about that. Michigan ran the ball through their throat for about 150 yards. That's not a whole lot, but that's still a lot considering you're supposed to have a great defense. And I remember Michigan won that game a lot because they did convert 3 times on fourth down, 3 out of 3 tries. And their offense was pushing them around for about 7-8 minutes of the fourth quarter when it mattered most, and Ohio State couldn't stop them. And they did stop them, but it was too late. But I don't agree with you when you say Ohio State's going to be a really good team. Think about it. Ohio State's had a lot of talent over the years. They've been far more talented than Michigan ever. So with that being said, talent has not been a problem for Ohio State. The defensive coordinator, yes, the games have been closer because of the defensive coordinator, but Ryan Day has failed to win those games. And not just the Michigan games, but any big game that against a team that's evenly matched with him across the board. Georgia, Clemson, Alabama in the national championship. Us 3 years ago, Oregon came to his house and beat him, by the way. And I just don't see where that talent's really going to matter. Yes, you can have great running backs. Yes, Ohio State has great talent. Yes, that's great. But last I saw, Ohio State has not been a good running team. They couldn't run the ball against Penn State last year. They couldn't do it with Michigan last year overall. They could not do it against Mizzou. They could not do it with Notre Dame. Yes, Travion Henderson busted free for a big touchdown run against Notre Dame, but other than that, he was bottled up a lot. So I don't think Judkins is going to matter a whole lot. And again, he's a great player. Caleb Downs, yeah, he's a great player. Will Howard from Kansas State, yeah, he's a great player too. He is. But something's off about that team. And I agree with you, it's the softness. Ryan Day does not, anytime they've lost, his team loses, they cannot play 4 quarters of football. That's just my opinion. So I don't really see what that transfer portal is really going to matter. It's going to go down to how Ryan Day prepares his team. Again, you can hire any offensive coordinator you want. You can have all the talent you want and still lose games. And then you can still go get more talent from the transfer portal. It won't matter if you don't coach well for 4 quarters. 4 quarters. Think about it. That's why they lost to Clemson in 2019. That's why they got destroyed by Alabama in the national championship game during COVID. That's why they lost to Oregon. That's why Michigan beat them up that year in 2022, fast forward. That's why Michigan blew them out and pulled away like they did in the fourth quarter. Why? You can't play 4 quarters football. That's why Georgia whooped them despite being down multiple scores at 2 times in that game when Georgia, and you can agree with me on this, Uncle Lou, Georgia had quite a few injuries going into that game. Like, during the game, Georgia had some players get hurt. They had backups playing defense and still overcame 2 touchdowns or more deficits in that game to whoop Ohio State. Yeah, and Ohio State, by the way, Ohio State didn't play their conference because they got blown out by Michigan. They had an extra week to prepare for that game, by the way. That makes it worse. So Ohio State goes on the road and gets a fluke win over Notre Dame. I call it a fluke because of how that game went down. They struggle at home against Penn State, who, by the way, Michigan whooped without having to throw the football in the second half this past year. Without a coach, by the way. Speaking of not having a coach, guess who beat them without a coach this past year? Michigan. So I really disagree with that, saying Ohio State's got all the stuff and they should win it all. But they won't. Watch.